are the 20 most ridiculous last-minute moments.
Smart, 2-2. Aguero!
And first up, El Clasico 2017. With seconds left on the clock, it seemed like both teams were going to settle for 1 point each until Messi did this. Unstoppable! We all know Messi can score a game winner at any time, but nobody ever expected that from Alisson?
Make yourself a story. It's Alexander on. Oh, it's Alisson! Unbelievable!
17 seconds after injury time, and the dude secured the W with his forehead. He deserves a statue.
As a human being, with my father, I hope he was here to see it, but I can't be more happy than I am now.
And so does Toby Alderweireld, because his goal in the 93rd minute secured Antwerp their first title in 66 years.
Botay maakt zich vrij. Alderweireld trapt. Hij scoort! Scoort! Oh la la! Wat een trap! Uitgerekend Toby Alderweireld!
Fans lost their minds. Which reminds me of the time Lucas Moura caused millions of hearts to stop. 90 minutes played, and the game tied up. Ajax was seconds away from a spot in the Champions League final 2019, until Lucas Moura...
Here's Dele Alli. Here's Lucas Moura. Oh, they've done it! I cannot believe it! Lucas Moura with the last kick of the game!
And with that, he shot Spurs into the final and arguably scored the most impactful hat trick of the decade. But if we're talking about impactful goals, then we gotta mention Ronaldo. 29th of September, 2021. Man United versus Villarreal. The Portuguese superstar was ready for a Champions League night back at Old Trafford. But after a disappointing 90 minutes and 1-1 on the scoreboard, Ronaldo decided to give it one more push and...
Fred. Now they knocked it down. Lingard. Ronaldo! Champions League MVP!
Too bad they got kicked off by Atletico in the next round. But hey, not everybody can walk away with a trophy. You should ask Dortmund, because what Arjen Robben did to them in the 2013 Champions League final has gone down in history as one of the most painful losses ever. The Dutch winger first assisted Mandzukic to open up the score in the 60th minute, but Dortmund quickly scored the equalizer 8 minutes later. Both teams were trying to push, and fans all around the stadium were gasping for air. The club from Munich had dominated the Bundesliga that year, leaving a 25-point gap with Dortmund. But the black and yellow had hope, because the game was heading into extra time. Well, it seemed, because in the 88th minute, the man of glass scored the greatest goal of his career.
It's done well. Robin is there!
And just like that, Bayern lifted the trophy, something Iago Aspas can only dream of with Celta. I mean, the club can't even make it into the La Liga top 10 and has never won any trophies. But Aspas should definitely win one for scoring this 3-3 equalizer in the 6th minute of injury time.
Fuera. Y en el último suspiro, Iago Aspas.
What a screamer! And hey, at least he ended up third on the top scorer list that year, which is something you could never say about this guy. Yeah, goalkeeper Peter Schmeichel isn't only known for his incredible saves, icon card, or as the father of Kasper Schmeichel. He also had an incredible career in the 90s and early 2000s, having won the Premier League 5 times with United. But one of his most iconic moments was in 2001, when he played for Aston Villa and joined for a corner in the 90th minute.
Staunton with it. Almost fell for Schmeichel, does! And it's in!
And if you think that's a crazy last-minute moment, wait until we get to the top 3. But first up at number 12, Nani left no doubt that he was one of the best forwards to have ever worn the United jersey.
Player of his heading ability. David the head on it. Nani gets away from company. Nani can win it for Manchester United, and surely has done.
Now that's a painful exit for City. But that last game winner wasn't as impressive as Van Persie's. See, the Dutch striker had just turned down a £300,000 weekly salary from Man City and signed for United instead during the summer of 2012. So a couple months later, when he walked onto the pitch for his first Manchester derby, he was wearing red, which made this matchup even more tense than it already was. Both teams gave their all, resulting in a 2-2 draw after 92 minutes. But Van Persie didn't score any of those. So when he stepped up to take a free kick from the perfect spot, he took a deep breath and...
in stoppage time, in his first Manchester derby.
Van Persie took a deflection. Oh, he's done it! It's Van Persie!
That goal made him a fan favorite, and Ferguson even compared him to the United icon Eric Cantona. Now that's a great way to impress your new club, which is something that Benfica didn't manage to do in 51 years. They won their last European trophy in 1962, when the legendary Eusebio still dominated the pitch. And for reference, that's long before Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo were even born. So fans were over the moon when they reached the Europa League final 2013 against Chelsea. The Blues captain and most important defender, John Terry, was injured and couldn't step onto the field. So Benfica was hopeful. 68 minutes in, and both teams found the net once. Tension was rising. Cardozo tried scoring from outside the box, and Lampard also launched an absolute thunderball that hit the woodwork. Deep into stoppage time, Chelsea gets a corner. This was their last chance to beat the club from Portugal before going into extra time.
Ivanovic is above everyone and scores the winner for Chelsea.
That's a beautiful header, but it's nothing compared to number 8, when a then 33-year-old Rooney showed his incredible skills and gave one of the most beautiful assists in MLS history.
Third. A foot race the other way. Look who's running hard after defensively. Wayne Rooney, the net is empty. Big collision by the captain. That is unbelievable effort. Rooney putting one up. Acosta.
But you know, that was only in the MLS. The pressure wasn't as high as in the 2014 Champions League final, Real versus Atletico, which went down as one of the most intense finals in history. Atletico had just won La Liga with only a 3-point difference with Barcelona and Real. So when both teams from the Spanish capital made it to the final, everyone was expecting a spectacle. And how could you not? Real had some of the most legendary players in the club's history lined up that day. So it was a tough pill to swallow when Atletico took the lead in the 35th minute. And even though Ronaldo did everything in his power to score the equalizer, the ball just couldn't go in. But when Real got blessed with 5 minutes of injury time and one last corner, Sergio Ramos did the unthinkable.
Esquina, Luka Modric pone el balón, Sergio Ramos.
That goal broke the spell, because Real to go on to humiliate Atletico to win 4-1 in extra time. But that humiliation doesn't even come close to the 4-0 hammering Barcelona received by PSG in February 2017. Suarez, Neymar, and Messi didn't stand a chance in the French capital and could only sit back and watch how Di Maria single-handedly destroyed their defense. And after a 4-0 beatdown, Barca needed a miracle to still make it to the Champions League quarterfinal. So on the 8th of March, they got to work. Suarez, 1-0.
It's a goal for Barcelona.
Own goal by Kurzawa, 2-0. Messi, 3-0. But then Cavani netted the 3-1, meaning Barca still needed 3 goals instead of the 2 to pull this off. 88th minute. And Barcelona fans were desperate, but luckily Neymar hit an incredible free kick, 4-1. And that's when things went crazy. 91st minute, penalty, boom, 5-1. Barca just needed one more goal to make it to the quarterfinals. So in the 95th minute, with everything on the line, Sergi Roberto did this.
Neymar on the ball now, gets onto his left hand foot and plays it to the box. It's in the net! 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 It's in the net!
That is by far the most important goal he's ever scored and made headlines all over the world, which also happened to Fernando Torres in 2012. After a 1-0 victory in London, Chelsea was on their way to kick Barca out of the Champions League. But for the return in Spain, they quickly got into trouble after captain John Terry suffered a red card, and Barca took the 2-0 lead. But the game wasn't over, because Ramirez secured the 2-1 seconds before halftime. And even though Chelsea had only 10 players left, they still managed to fight off all of Barca's attempts. But they needed one last goal to secure themselves a ticket for the final. So Roberto Di Matteo made the best decision of his coaching career and called Torres off the bench, who then scored his most legendary last-minute goal ever.
This could be the most dramatic story of the season. It's Torres to give Chelsea a place in the Champions League final. The headline has been written.
But Chelsea's 2012 Champions League roller coaster didn't stop there. It felt like that was it. He gave up. But someone who never did is Drogba, because in the 88th minute,
Drogba is out!
Drogba sent them into extra time. The craziest last-minute moments from here on out. And first up, we got the 2014 World Cup final, Germany versus Argentina. As the entire world was expecting a penalty shootout, Mario Götze had different plans and single-handedly secured Germany the 2014 World Cup.
Aimed in for Götze!
Now that was an insane moment, but it doesn't even come close to my personal favorite, World Cup 2022 quarterfinal, the Netherlands versus Argentina. What seemed like a clean 0-2 victory for Leo's team suddenly changed when the Dutch striker Wout got off the bench in the 78th minute. A player who many consider mediocre sparked everyone's hope when he headed in the 1-2 with 8 minutes left on the clock. The dream was still alive for the Netherlands, and the entire country was left biting their nails when the ref added 10 extra minutes. Could they still pull it off?
Kurt Minus, smart, 2-2, extraordinary, 101 minutes!
They did! In my opinion, the greatest comeback in World Cup history. But this is the moment you've all been waiting for. The #1 most ridiculous last-minute moment in football history. It was the final match of the 2012 season. Manchester City needed to win this game, otherwise United would win the league after all. Everything was on the line, and City took the lead early in the game.
Yaya Toure into Zabaleta. Good hit. It's in.
Things were looking good until Queen's Park Rangers scored the equalizer.
Oh, Lescott's heading backwards, and it's Cisse for QPR.
City began to lose hope, and only when they thought things couldn't get worse, Mackie did this.
He has options in the area. Oh, Mackie's arriving.
Man United fans were already celebrating and thought they had it in the bag. But luckily for City, Dzeko was brought into the game and did this.
Here's Silva, swings it in. Dzeko's there. It's in. City have got to go back.
And with those 4 minutes left, Sergio Aguero knew it was all up to him.
Aguero, if anyone can, it's him. Back to Balotelli. It runs for Aguero. They've done it.
Now, if you think these last-minute moments were ridiculous, then wait until you see the most insane goals in Champions League history. Click that video right here.